On this video, we wanted to highlight a comment from the Frogman video that I made, the limited edition Frogman. That's a collaboration of some sort of rainforest and all that kind of stuff. And this highlights some sort of mentality or contradiction in the watch collecting hobby, especially G-Shock. When it comes to G-Shock, the two areas or the two groups of people collecting G-Shocks are a lot more defined compared to other watches. But before we get to that, let's read the comment first. And this is coming from DM72. And he says, "The beauty is in the eye of the beholder." Yeah, that of course we know. And why anyone would want to wear that colorful frogman or a watch that's a collaboration with a knitting company, newspaper, or polo club is beyond me. I think more exclusive G-Shocks are nice, but at the end of the day, it's a G-Shock designed to be worn and roughed up. After all, wasn't that the main reason they were developed? Remember the DW5200 Hero Hockey advert? Now, what he's saying is not necessarily false or not necessarily true either, but I think that's a that's a running theme with our commentaries nowadays. It's neither good or bad. It's neither right or wrong. But let's go through and examine his comment first. He says that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Yes, that is true. But there is a certain aspect of design that is generally viewed as beautiful. Okay, so it's not completely true that the eye of the beholder, that's where the beauty is. Because say, for example, if we've diverged too much from the normal and it becomes eccentric, it's not as beautiful to a majority of people compared to a small minority. Say, for example, a clean house, like it's uncluttered and it's neatly cleaned, that is beautiful. In general, whenever or the vast majority of people, when they see a clean room where everything is in its place, it is generally viewed as beautiful. But if there's some clutter here and there, some people may view that as beautiful or even tasteful or a hint of personality from the person who owns that room or that house. And yes, we cannot deny, as they are the beholder, to them that is beautiful, but it's not for everyone. Maybe a shadow hits it a certain angle and that's beautiful to them. That's fine, but the overall concept of having that place clean is beautiful to a vast majority compared to a misplaced items that could be beautiful to only a few. So it's not exactly true that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But going back to the G-Shock comment, yes, G-Shock, as it was originally designed, is supposed to be roughed up and tough, and of course withstands the G forces. That's the whole point, and that's why it has these little signature designs around them, like bulky corners. They have thick profiles. That's all part of the gravity defying or shock defying aspect of the watch. Now, when they collaborate with other brands or other institutions, then they kind of lose that appeal, because now that collaboration, the mere fact that they collaborated with someone, is they are meant to touch a different market. It's not the market anymore of those who wanted to use G-Shock in a practical sense, but those who want to buy G-Shock because of their collectability, because there's no denying that they're not gonna buy that collaboration if they're not going to touch that collectability area. And that is inescapable when it comes to G-Shock now, as the brand saw a tremendous growth whenever they had this kind of collaborative projects. And not to mention, the statistics prove that they have gotten a lot more popular ever since they started touching the collectability market or the collectible market. Case in point, when they released the full metal G-Shock squares, that was the point wherein their popularity was going down. It was completely going down. The trajectory of their sales are going down. But then when they introduced that full metal G-Shock squares, their popularity suddenly soared. Now, that is not because all of a sudden those who bought G-Shocks for their practicality started buying these metal G-Shocks. Not exactly because they're more robust or they're more feature packed, although they are, but they could not justify the multiple folds of increase in price. Keep in mind, you can buy a G-Shock Square for as little as $60-$40. And now you're ending up at forking out 10 times that price. 10 times? Yeah. 10 times that price for a full metal G-Shock Square. There's no practical sense in that kind of scenario. But those full metal squares attracted many of those other G-Shock enthusiasts who wanted to collect these G-Shocks. They found that, hey, they're releasing these new models that we have never seen before, and I think it's going to be a big hit. It's going to be collectible in time, and it's going to be, it doesn't have to be limited. Keep in mind, there's a difference between buying something because they're limited compared to buying something because they're collectible, because you have your own collection and you want this new model to be part of your collection, and that's why people buy that. But those two individuals are two different people. One that's using G-Shock as a practical device compared to one that is adding to his watch collection or his accessories. And DM72 is not wrong in that regard. He just falls into that practical sense and he wants to express his comment at that. And there's nothing wrong with that. G-Shock still remains, even the ones that they are selling at a very, very steep price, they still are really, really good and robust watches. And if G-Shock didn't had to pivot from that point on, they would have probably died into obscurity. And I could remember there was a point where in Casio, the main brand was actually more popular than G-Shock. But now, if we look in YouTube and other social media, it's all mostly populated by G-Shock. And we cannot blame them. And we can see even in their sales that G-Shock has been taking charge or taking the lead for the overall company's growth when it comes to the watches. Of course, Casio still has a stranglehold on all of the other digital devices or electronic devices that the whole brand conglomerate produces. They produce keyboards, they produce medical equipment. They're still leading in that regard. But when it comes to watches, G-Shocks are occupying a big chunk of that. And that's because G-Shock was aware enough to touch not just the practical market, but also the collectible market. So if you see G-Shock collaborating with other brands, it's not that we should readily support it, but it should be something that we at the very least tolerate. Because if they didn't do that, we won't get these amazing new variations that we're able to collect. And those who still want, the good thing about G-Shock is they're not sacrificing, at the very least, not yet, they're not sacrificing their functionality and their practicality, even when they're collaborating with these other brands. Of course, the prices are a totally different story. They jump multiple folds depending on the materials used, but nevertheless, it's a welcome prospect or principle for them to not just make some really good and practical watches, but at the same time, collectible ones that we all can enjoy.